our offensive line, our left tackle wasn't playing very well at all.
Right.
So I put Tony Rowell in there and switched another guy out there and changed it up mid-season. Tony Rowell said, Coach Spurrier wasn't here, I'd never played, because the only way the other staff would make a change is if somebody got hurt.
Right.
So nobody got hurt, but he made a change because the guy wasn't playing very well, and we went on and won all the conference games after that. So that's just my philosophy. I'm not telling Sark what to do, but
No, I totally agree with what you're
DJ
saying.
Lagway doesn't win the Heisman, I hope Arch Manning wins it.
Yeah.
And they're both capable. It just depends on which team maybe has a super year. And but I'm trying to say, if Arch was better than the other guy, how come he didn't play? That's all I was trying to say.
Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging. Coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We got a lot to do today. Coach Spurrier will be in here in a little bit. Robbie Andrew will join us for Yes, No, Way, or Maybe. On Thursday, Christy Dosh is going to join us. I can't wait for her. Christy's a longtime friend and has done a lot of, recently came out with a book about NIL. I can't wait to talk to her about that. And then we're going to do a show Monday, the following Monday with Coach Spurrier, and then the following Thursday, no show, okay? We're just going to, Zach needs some time off from me. I need some time off from coming in here and doing this. So we're going to take a day off. I'm going to be at the beach. So anyway, just to let everybody know to plan out their weeks. All right. Let us get to our Royal Blue starting five. Brought to you, of course, by our good friend Randy Royal at Royal Blue, where you need to go if you need a boat. And this would be a good time to have one with one of those canopies on us. You could still be out there cruising around. Be a good time to do it. All right, let's get to our Royal Blue starting five. Let's start off with the triple header that was Florida getting 3 players drafted. And look, I know that this happens to the Kentuckys and the Dukes of the world a lot. But it hadn't happened to Florida other than one other time that 3 players were drafted. Now, again, you only have 2 rounds. It's different from the NFL. But the only other time was 2007. And, of course, they had 5 players drafted because you had the big 3. I think they all went in the top 9. Did I write this down? I don't know if I did or not. The top 9, I think they went in. That was Horford, Noah. No, it was actually Horford, Brewer, Noah. Noah ended up going, I think, 9th. And he would have been the first pick in the draft the year before, but came back to play. And that's why I'll always have a special place in my heart for Joakim Noah. But for other reasons, too, he was just the best interview I think I've ever had. But anyway, for all 3 of these Gators to get drafted on Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, is great. And it's good for the program. You don't think that kind of stuff matters, but it does. When you're at Kentucky and you can flash up the number of players you've had drafted, when you're Calipari and you can flash up the number of players you've had drafted, and especially in the first round, when you're Kansas, you're Bill Self, and you can flash up those numbers. Florida can't really flash up much. You know, they had the 1 year where you had all those guys drafted, and they were drafted because they came back. Chris Richard. I almost said Cliff Richard. Chris Richard was one of those guys. Torian Green got drafted that year, but again, very late in the second round and went to Europe and played. But the bottom line is this is only the second time Florida's had more than 2 players drafted. It says a lot about those guys more than anything. Now, does it say a lot about Todd? You're damn right it does. It says that he knows how to develop players. Elijah Martin was developed a lot by Dusty May. I want to give him a lot of credit for that. That guy who walked in here was a finished product, but Florida made him even better. Todd Golden made him better. Will Richard was the first guy to commit to Todd Golden. It worked out. That's a good statement you can make as a head coach. Look at this guy. He committed to me when he didn't even know who I was. And now he got drafted. Obviously, Walter Clayton, the 2 years he had here were just unbelievable. And we're always going to love that guy. So anyway, that was the biggest story to me of the weekend, even though it wasn't really the weekend. But since I've talked to you last, it's kind of come up that all three of those guys got picked. I was worried about Will a little bit. And, Will can make that. Well, let's get to number 2 because that's what I want to talk about on the Royal Blues starting 5, which is I can see a scenario where all three of these guys will be on the rosters of their teams when the season starts. I was listening to my buddy Jeff Goodman he's working for the Field of 68 now. And he was on another show, though, and he was talking about guys in the second round that'll make it. And first guy he named was Janae Broom, and that's a lot because of Joel Embiid and what he's dealing with. And, he's always hurt, so you figure he'll get some time. And the other one was Elijah Martin because he can defend. And I'm just like, listen to that, and I'm like, you're damn right he can. He's really good on defense, and sometimes you need to put a guy in to stop a guy, and maybe he'll be that guy. I hope he does. I hope he does make it there. I know Walter's going to make it. They just traded Colin Sexton, and if you don't remember Colin Sexton, it's not that long ago. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. He was playing for the Alabama. He was the best player in the league. I mean, I don't know if he was the MVP that year, but he was, to me, the best player in the league. In fact, I remember the shot he hit against Georgia at the SEC tournament to win that game. But they traded him. They dumped him because they want Walter to be their guard. Certainly, Will Richard. You look at their. In fact, I said on the radio last week. I said, Will Richard it could be tough for him to make because all you're thinking about is Steph Curry. He's not beating him out. Of course he's not beating him out. But you know what? You look at the rest of their roster, it ain't overly impressive. However, there are a lot of good players on that were good in college, as Walter was. We'll see how it all works out. But again, you're a younger player. You've got a chance to do stuff. And I think younger players with smaller contracts are going to make rosters over other older players that they're averaging 3 points a game, which a lot of their players have. Anyway, it will be great. And if that happens, think of all the Gators will have. In fact, I told Jeff I was going to look this up, and so maybe I'll look it up when I get home. What are the most number of players Florida's ever had on an NBA rosters in one season? Now, it's kind of hard because sometimes you get those, what do you call them, 12-day contracts, 14-day, whatever they are. Anyway, it's going to be a lot more fun watching basketball in the NBA this year. I can tell you that much. All right, let's get to number 3, which is talking season, which we'll address with Coach Spurrier. Last week he said something pretty, what's the best word for it? Innocuous? Is that the word? It was harmless is what it was, but it became a big story, and I appreciate Zach for sending me all the different links to it because it was just going nuts. Barstool picked it up and everything, and all he said was that, and we'll talk to him about it, but all he said was that if Arch is so good, why didn't he start last year? And they started a 7th-round draft pick instead. It's good. That's his philosophy. We'll talk to him about it, okay? But there's all kind of stuff going out right now, and it's going to continue. And I'm going to be doing a lot of that. We're going to be doing a lot of that on the show until we get to at least SEC Media Days because what else do we have? I'm sitting there today trying to write some stuff down. I'm like, no, there's none of that. There's none of that. There's not much going on, but there are good. This is when guys have to get creative. And the ones that are creative, I will give special credit to. This was CBS Sports. They talked about the X factors in college football, and there are so many of them, and so many of them are on Florida's schedule. And I wanted to bring up a couple of them. They called it something else. They didn't call it X factors. I call it X factors. Like, I don't know how good they're going to be. There are so many teams like that where I think they might be really good, and I think they might not be good. And I don't know. They could be, depends on what your range is going to be. Like your Kansas range could be 4-8 or 8-4. Your Florida range, to me, is 10-2, 5-7. That's your range. Now, there's a ceiling and a floor. And that's why I think Florida is one of those X factors. I think Florida is going to be pretty good, but there's a million things they got to do better. And they've got to keep their quarterback healthy and blah, blah, blah. We can go on and on. I did that in my column, which is up on WRUF.com, the back nine. But to me, I mean, LSU and Auburn were two of the teams they listed, and they're absolutely dead on about that. LSU got all these guys in the portal. We'll see how good they are. We'll see how it works out for them. They did a good job with the portal. They always do a good job of recruiting. They always have good players. They don't always have good teams. So that's why you have a hard time, stamping LSU in as not only as a national championship contender, but as a playoff team. Florida knocked them out last year out of the playoffs. And if they beat them this year in Baton Rouge, that'll be a bad blow for them. Auburn's the other one. Auburn, there's a lot of people that are high on Auburn. I'm not sure why. Please tell me it's not just because they got Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma at quarterback. If that's the only reason you're high on him, he's a good college football player. He's not a great college football player. Great college football player would be Kyle Trask, somebody like that hasn't really done anything in the NFL. And again, he's behind a guy, but there's a lot of good college football players, and they can win a lot of games for you. I don't know that he's going to win that many games. FSU is certainly one of those X teams, and they're X-rated last year, as you know. Missouri. I don't really know hardly anything about Missouri. That's where you've got to take the Phil Steele or something else and figure out what is going on with Missouri. And they have, the softest schedule in the league. Out of 16 teams, they've got the easiest schedule. That says a lot about Missouri. I think Georgia is an X-factor team because and again, this is a lot of people, and it's talking season, okay? We're going to be talking. Everybody's going to be talking. Not always making sense, but sometimes you have to stop making sense, as David Byrne said. But Georgia is a team I can't put my finger on because I know they have the players. Do they have the quarterback? And, for example, if DJ Lagway was, and this would be a good radio topic this week, if DJ Lagway was Georgia's quarterback, you'd be picking him to win it all. Because they've got the other pieces. We just don't know about the quarterback. That'd be a good topic today. Teams that if DJ Lagway was a quarterback, you would pick to win the whole thing in the SEC. Well, LSU wouldn't be one. South Carolina probably wouldn't be one because they got Lenora Sellers. Well, we'll talk about it on the show today. All right, let's get to number 4, which is a weird kind of, story that kind of makes you mad and makes you sad at the same time. But this whole story with Jake Ratcliffe, who is BYU's quarterback, but not for long. He has gotten in the portal. They have a rule that if you have premarital sex with a woman, you're suspended for 7 games, okay? Now, this has happened there before. My question is, now, there is more to this story because he was accused of rape in a civil suit. You read the stuff about it. I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. I'm never going to ever judge anybody. But certainly, I just don't, what I don't get, though, is how BYU is killing it in recruiting. Because, oh, by the way, yeah, here's all the money we're going to give you. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you this. Oh, you can't have sex. Okay, whoa. I don't know how you would say, okay, I'll sign up for that. I'll sign up for a 3-year deal with no sex and weird. It's just I just don't know how they recruit there, but they do. And maybe it's just all money. Maybe that tells you how much money is the overwhelming factor in all this. Anyway, but that's not like they just put that rule in. That rule's been there forever. I know Talk to Jim McMahon. I cannot believe that he went his entire time without premarital sex. Anyway, let's move along to number 3 on our Royal Blue starting 5, and that is this question. Is the Big 3 coming back? Now, when I say the Big 3, I'm talking about Florida, FSU, and Miami. There was a time when they ruled college football as a threesome, a threesome that did not want to be in bed together. Believe me. Because nobody wanted to be around FSU fans. It was Florida fan. Miami fans didn't want to be around Florida fans. They hated each other. It was ferocious. Florida FSU games, Miami FSU games, and an occasional Florida Miami game. There was a fight on Bourbon Street when Florida played Miami in a bowl. They hate each other, okay? And this is the players and everything. But when you look at the recruiting rankings, they're all in the top 13, and I think Florida's is only low because of the numbers that they've recruited, or they've gotten committed so far. I think that number's going to keep going. I think Florida's going to be a top 10 recruiting, and I think so is FSU and so is Miami. So is this the beginning of everybody coming and being good again? We'll see, because FSU has got this weird deal where they've put into these, and apparently it's in all the NIL contracts that if you leave, you have to pay some money back, or it depends on what the contract says. There are fines for leaving before your contract is up, and they can extend your contract without negotiating with you and your agent. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. That's how disgusted I am with it all. But that could be a hindrance for FSU. But, I mean, look, all these people have different things in their contracts. Transparency, baby. We want transparency so we can know what every contract looks like so we can make more smart opinions, I guess, would be the reason. You're not going to do it. It doesn't matter. All right, that's going to do it for our Royal Blue starting 5. Let's take a break. We'll come back with the coach, see what he has to say about Arch Manning today. You never know. It won't be anything bad. He wasn't anything bad the last time. This is another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Hey, let's talk about something that's been a real game changer for many people, including me. BMI TeleMed is one of our sponsors. They're the weight loss specialists and can help you tackle that stubborn belly fat. You know, the kind that usually creeps up once you hit your 40s. Bob Parado and Charlie Gonzalez, 2 UF-trained pharmacists, work with their medical director to prescribe and deliver the same meds that helped me lose 50 pounds. Yep, 50 pounds. That belly fat, it's not just about looks. It's unhealthy and makes you feel sluggish. Now is the time to do something about it before football season rolls around again. If you're anywhere in Florida, BMI TeleMed, simple online telehealth platform makes it easy. Your weight loss meds get delivered right to your door fast. From my experience, you feel full sooner, eat less, but can keep enjoying the foods that you love, just in smaller portions. Plus, it helps with blood sugar and cravings. Do yourself a favor, head to bmitelemed.com to set up a free private consultation. No obligations, no contracts. These Gators know their stuff. You'll look better, feel better, and be healthier. Visit bmitelemed.com today.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And of course, Meldon Law is a sponsor, the sponsor of our appearances with Coach Spurrier. We always love having Coach Spurrier on, especially when it becomes national news like you did last week.
That's what I heard. I heard that went national when I was talking about Texas quarterbacks of the last 2 years. And I wasn't trying to criticize anybody. But it's just a different viewpoint than I had as a coach. I guess my heyday as a coach was between 89 and 96. Our teams won, 7 and 8 years. We won the conference championship. The one at Duke. 2 quarterbacks played that year.
They did.
Billy Ray and Dave Brown. Now, Billy got hurt a little bit, but Dave Brown came in, and he played so well. I mean, he was going to stay in there. So each of them won 3 games. Now, Danny Warfel and Shane Matthews, they won 2 championships apiece and pretty much played the whole way. But the other years, the last year, Noah Brandeis actually played a little bit, but Jesse Palmer and Rex Grossman.
Jesse's the guy who
Jesse and Rex pretty much split.
Ran him down the field against Tennessee to win that game.
A couple years. And then Terry Dean and Danny actually both played in 93 and 94 a little bit. 95, 96. So all I'm trying to say is this. When I coach, if one guy's struggling and I had another guy just as good, man, he's in the game.
He's in the game,
And if he's really continue playing well, he'll stay in. If not, we'll go back to the other guy. It's sort of like baseball. If your starting pitcher who's your best is having a terrible day, he can't throw it over the plate, you get the next guy to go in there. But for some reason, in football, a lot of people don't like to substitute. They don't like to substitute. My first year here, our offensive line, our left tackle wasn't playing very well at all. So I put Tony Rowell in there and switched another guy out there and changed it up mid-season. Tony Rowell said, Coach Spurrier wasn't here, I'd never played, because the only way the other staff would make a change is if somebody got hurt. So nobody got hurt, but he made a change because the guy wasn't playing very well, and we went on and won all the conference games after that. So that's just my philosophy. I'm not telling Sark what to do, but
I totally agree with what you're
saying. If DJ
saying.
Lagway doesn't win the Heisman, I hope Arch Manning wins it. And they're both capable. It just depends on which team maybe has a super year. And but I'm trying to say, if Arch was better than the other guy, how come he didn't play? That's all I was trying to say.
I totally got it. But that's the other thing. If DJ Lagway 6 games in, they're 2-4, and he's not getting it done. You want to see them go to the next guy, Harrison Bailey. I mean, whoever.
Well, if we feel like the other guy is good or better, if it's a clear.
That's always been your philosophy, though. You've always gone with that, but
the next guy.
You never know with some.
But then you come back, Rex. We benched Rex in 2000 a little bit, and Jesse came in, played super against South Carolina, and so forth, and then. Jesse had a tough game against the FSU, like a lot of our quarterbacks always did. And then Rex came back, and I think he was the SEC player of the game when we beat Auburn 28-6. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong. If you're going to change the left guard or the other guy, to me, there's nothing wrong with changing the quarterback in and out. He's not out forever. He can come back later on. And I don't know. It's just my philosophy, but a lot of coaches don't go that way.
Not only that, but you're living in the world of NIL where if you get benched, you're probably going to go somewhere else. And I don't know if that keeps guys from getting benched or not. I know that guys are coming back to college when they normally wouldn't. So that's a positive of NIL, but I don't know that the power they kind of have over the coaches. I don't know how you would have dealt with that when a guy says, hey, look, this guy's getting $2 million and we need to play him more.
Yeah, that's another thing they have to worry about today. But Shane never got benched. Had to warn him one time though. After we got beat 30-6 at Mississippi
State. Yep.
First, I think, conference games of the year. So nobody had ever thought we were going to win the division that year of '92. But Shane picked it up. Oh, he played super really all 3 years.
That team, I still don't know how you won the division because, I mean, it was a transition team. There's no doubt about it. Trying to figure out, because
it was a big
Shane's
transition.
last year. You had no tackles,
Yeah.
freshmen at tackle, and
2 starting freshman tackles,
Yeah.
Reggie Green and Jason Odom. And the inside guys were guys that had been here a little bit, not a lot. I know Gant Crouch was on the B team for about 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
and he came in and played well.
Yep.
He played very well. Not great, but he was a very good player and did what you asked him to do.
And you had Eric Rett too, and that's a good thing.
Rett,
Eric
yeah.
Rett was a guy that I felt like you always knew for 4 years you could count on him to do what you needed him to do. Catch the ball out of the backfield, which still has a record, I think, for a running back. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he has it.
I think it's
Well,
not
he's
even close.
he's a leading rusher in school history also.
Yeah, he is. Yes.
Most people think Emmett was it, but Eric Rett, of course, he's a 4-year starter, and I don't think he ever got hurt much during the season that I can remember. So he was such a good leader, too. I mean, he'd run over guys, through guys. In practice, we're midfield running plays, he'd run all the way to the end zone and back. I said, all right, next guy, get in here. All right. We weren't going to wait on him to get back. We had to keep running plays. But he took it all the way to the end zone all the time.
Yeah, no, he. We need to get him on the podcast. I have his phone number. I'll give him a call, get him on the podcast because he is one of the great. And in fact, I think he's an underappreciated running back because
question.
he's a leading rusher. I think he's a leading receiver out of running backs. He won how many? Technically, he won 3.
3 out of 4.
3 out of 4
conference championships his 4 years. Yeah.
And I mean, but it's kind of like he's because of Emmett and guys that have come along since. I mean, you've had some good running backs. I mean, Fred Taylor and those guys like that were certainly excellent players. But Rhett might be the best you had at running back.
And he was sort of here at a time where the backup player wasn't quite as good as he was.
Right.
When Fred Taylor was here, Terry Jackson, Terry was
Eli,
dang good.
yeah.
Eli Williams. We had 3 of them.
Yeah.
Who'd I put in next? Carl Franks used to say. And I'd say the one they can't tackle the best, I guess, is the one that keep playing them. But, we had a lot of good running backs right during that early 90s.
One of my favorite memories of the Sugar Bowl that year was being on the field, walking with Carl Franks. You guys had a walkthrough or something like that. And I said, so who's starting at running back tomorrow? And he goes, I don't know. Got to wake up and then decide, know. And it doesn't matter. They're all going to play. And actually, Terry Jackson had the biggest moment in the game, his touchdown run and diving into the end zone.
Yeah, that was sort of the nail in the coffin.
Yep, it was.
I think we had a 2-touchdown lead, but that made it 3. So that was a little cutback run. Jimmy Ray Stevens put that in. I should have remembered that play later on. I don't think I ran it much at all after that. But you fake the toss sweep, and then you come right back up the middle.
And you got to beat one guy, right?
Yeah,
you got to beat the linebacker.
You pull a guard, but he pulls up to the middle there, and you just hope they overshoot it and so forth.
Yep. I actually sat down with Carl one day at back in the old days. What was that place that was? Anyway, it was on the university campus. I can't remember the name. Copper Monkey, that's what it was. We sat there for lunch, and he was kind of diagramming the whole play for me.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, well, no, I mean, if you run it, and that was the play you guys ran against FSU for a lot of success, too, in that 97 game. I wanted to ask you, too, about the draft, and obviously it was a good day for the Gators, getting 3 guys drafted, good weekend. A first-round pick. Think about Walter Clayton's last year and a half. He's had a child, was the SEC MVP in the tournament, graduated from school, became the most valuable player in the NCAA tournament, and was named Florida's first-team All-American. All that in that little space.
Yeah.
He must be losing his mind.
He's had a good career. There's no question. Coming to Florida was certainly the best transfer
Right.
about anybody in the nation, in all likelihood. In fact, I got my national
You
championship
do. You're wearing it.
basketball
Yep.
shirt on here
Yep,
today,
yep.
and so forth. But anyway, yesterday the golf, the men's senior open
Yeah,
was on.
watch that.
And Padre Harrington ended up winning by one shot. Stuart Sink was right there, one shot behind, but that's the way it worked out. But anyway, so I called Steve Melnick, and I said, "Didn't you guys play the NCAA tournament at Colorado Springs, Colorado, back in
Broadmoor,
your
yeah.
day?" And he said, "Well, we actually won the tournament at Las Cruces, New Mexico, is where they had it." He said, "But the next year we were there, and we should have won it there, but one of our guys made an 8 and a 10 in the last round."
That's not
And,
good.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't win like that. They had to count it back
Yeah.
then. But anyway, I said, well, the reason I'm calling, that's where we had the NCAA hearing
I
on the
remember that,
infraction of
yes.
1990.
That's right. Yeah.
So I go out there, and I'm sitting with our lawyers and the infraction committee, and blah, blah, blah. And we talk 4 or 5 hours, this, that, and the other. And one of the ladies said, "Why are we here? These guys have basically done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
The only thing they had is that Galen Hall told a grad assistant, drive Jarvis Jenkins, I think his name is.
Jarvis Williams.
To Palatka. He's got a child support payment. He's got to pay. He's got a good friend over there that's going to loan him the money. Drive him over there, drive him back. We got a bit of practice this afternoon." So one of the GAs drove him over. He had no car. He had no way to get there, and drove him back. They called that an extra benefit to a student athlete, driving him over there and back.
Yeah.
It's violation. So that was all they had right there. One violation.
I think it was
And,
Phil Bromley that drove
Yeah,
him
it
over
was.
there.
I think it was. But anyway, so we all leave. And we're not going to get much on this. They may take 4 or 5 scholarships, I thought. So we get in the middle of the year. So we're 5-0 or something like that, and we get a penalty that said you can't go to a bowl game. At first, I said, "Well, we don't have to go to a bowl game. I'm not worried about that." But we got a chance to win the SEC. We're undefeated. We beat Alabama and Auburn. And, so anyway, this SEC did a deal with the Sugar Bowl that we get your champion. The guy said champion goes to the Sugar Bowl. So Sugar Bowl gave us a bunch of money, the SEC, I guess.
Yeah.
So I learned, well, you can't be called champion because you can't go to the Sugar Bowl. You can't go to a bowl. That was our penalty, no bowl. If we went 5-7, then we have no penalty because we ain't going to the bowl anyway. So anyway, so our university, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. Do we appeal it to next year? And they asked me about that, and I said, we got a great team next year, too. We got a good chance this year as next year.
And you did. You had a great team.
All right.
the
So
next year.
I wish we'd videoed this. We had all the big shots there. President Lombardi, Dean Lancelotti was there, Dr. Cassisi. We had everybody who's anybody at the University of Florida at that time, athletic directors. Jeremy was in there, and he was the associate then. And everybody starts saying, well, we got a chance to win the SEC. Let's put it off to next year, the penalty, da-da-da. And finally, President Lombardi looked at me, and he said, "Coach, can we win the SEC this year?" And I said, "I'll tell you exactly the way I see it right now." I said, "Georgia is no good this year. They don't have a good team. Simple as that. If we can't beat them guys, you ought to fire me." But I said, we're going to have a tough game at Tennessee. They're very good. It's up there. It's going to be tough. It ain't going to be easy up there.
Yep.
And but I said, if we go 6-1, that will usually get you a share of the conference championship. And so that's where I am. I think we got a chance to win it, but I certainly can't guarantee it. So anyway, they went back and forth, and finally Dean Lancelotti raised his hand, and he said, "What in the world is wrong with us Gators? We have never won an SEC championship in the history of our school. And we're halfway through the year, and all of a sudden we think that we're going to win one? Let's take this dang penalty, get it over with, and not ever be penalized again." And everybody sort of hee-hawed around a little bit. And that was the direction that we decided to go. Probably best for the school, get it out of the way, blah, blah, blah. So, of course, obviously we did go on and win it. So I saw Dean Lancelotti out at the Gainesville Country Club. He's a pretty good golfer back in his day. He's not with us any longer, but he lived in his 90s. And I said, "Dean Lancelotti, you know what the Bible says about people like you? It's called ye of little faith." You got to have faith. You got to be a believer, man. He said, "I'll be one from now on." So anyway, that was the best thing to get rid of it. But if there's any way our university could go back, I mean, we had a 6-1 record.
But if you had
Tennessee was second, and they were 5-1-1.
Right.
They were not even co-champs. Yeah.
What if you had played it out and gone to the Sugar Bowl that year, and then the next year you couldn't go? I would have been ashamed for that '91 team.
Yeah, '91 team was the first team in school history to win every conference game. Sort of what's interesting, we've only had 3 teams in 92 years, I think, to win all their conference games. Do you know that? Only 3.
I know the
Urban's,
09 team did.
Urban's national championship teams actually lost 1 conference game.
Yep, they did. I think the 09 team went undefeated. Are you counting the SEC championship game?
Yeah, I'm counting all SEC
Okay,
games.
all SEC games.
All SEC
Wow.
games. It was,
I can't even think of 3.
Danny Warfel's 95 and 96, and then
95,
91 Shane's team.
That's
we,
right.
We won all the conference games. Only 3 in school history. And we've
Pretty impressive.
We've been playing about 92 or 3 years, something like that, in the conference.
Been playing a long time, no doubt about it. I did want to ask you about the golf, and I know how much you love to watch golf, and I don't know if you watched how much of that Senior Open you watched, but those guys are all porking up a little bit. They're getting a little bit. They get the bellies going. Yeah.
One guy was really heavy, but. Yeah, they need to wear looser clothes.
They're wearing these like skin tight.
I know.
Look at me. I'm wearing something that's very loose on me.
Yeah, they need their wives to say, just go buy extra bigger shirts.
Get a 2X.
Yeah. But,
yeah, it was weird to watch, but it is the bad time of the year. But we're not that far away from SEC Media Days, and we'll have stuff to talk about a lot more. But we'll talk. Yeah. We'll continue to talk college football here. We do need to get to our Campus USA. Speaking of the senior tour, our Campus USA play of the weekend, and because this ball ends up on the green, but watch Billy Andre during the Senior Open. That's pretty much how he hit every shot, because his back is killing him.
So he just rolls out.
You and I know that. You know, we're going through the same thing, but where you just give up because you don't want to, put the pressure on the back. But
yeah, he just relaxes after he hits it.
Yeah.
So it really,
he
may have something. Yeah.
He had a good tournament. I mean, he did pretty well. But that may be the new way to go, the swing and fall.
So he did that the whole time.
When he hit some shots, long irons and driver, he did it. Sometimes he wouldn't go all the way to the ground, but he did several times. I know that.
Perfectly legal in it.
That's right.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Just like I think it's so dumb that they have now the big putter. You can only go to this far away from your chest, to putt.
Yeah.
But you can't go all the way to the chest.
Not supposed to anchor it.
Well, what difference does it make? I mean, I don't know. I some rules in golf are, as you know. I mean, we talked about it last week. It was who was it that called a penalty on himself? Henley, and lost by a shot. And he called the penalty on himself earlier in the week because the ball moved, and he said, nobody saw this, but I'm calling it on myself. That's the only sport where that happens, man. Nobody's calling holding on themselves. Nobody's calling a foul on themselves.
That's true. It's true. It's a supposedly a gentleman's game, honor system.
That's right.
Applies to all of them.
That's right. All right, Coach, we'll let you go.
Okay.
Appreciate you being in here again, as always, on Monday.
Right.
We'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after this break. Here are just a few reasons why doing business with the Royal Blue puts you at the helm of your boating lifestyle. 1, the longer we have your listing, the lower percentage commissions you will pay. 2, survey reimbursement for qualified buyers. 3, detail reimbursement for qualified sellers. 4, on-the-water delivery orientation availability. Call us today to schedule a consultation to see what Royal Blue can do to solve all of your boating needs. Call Randy at 850-974-1294.
Coach, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 national championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat and bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Okay, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, and coming into you on our Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line is my best friend, Robbie Andrew. How you doing, Robbie?
Good, Pat. I love your shirt. Very colorful.
Yeah, I know. I've discussed it. It's a little much, but you know.
No, I like it.
It's, you know what I got it for was we're going to Volano next week, and like you went to the beach, what was it, last week?
Yeah.
So we're going there, and I go, I got to have a shirt that says Pat's at the beach.
Yeah, it's
so
a Jimmy Buffett type thing you got going.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It could be something. Anyway, hope you had a good weekend. I mean, everybody was like, oh, it's going to rain all weekend. I'm like, you could have played golf all weekend. There was very little rain in our house.
Yeah. It was typical Florida summer rain, here and then gone 5 minutes later. So,
you'd be sitting there watching a game, and all of a sudden you look up and go, it's pouring. And you look up and go, it's not raining at all. But that's Florida. All right, it is time for Yes, No, Where, Maybe with Robbie Andrew, brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak, street dining done the right way. I was just by there the other day. We appreciate them. If you listen to this show, you know that you can go by there and say, hey, I want free fries with my order because I listened to Robbie Andrew on Yes, No, Where, Maybe. All right, number one, Robbie, the Tigers are the best team in baseball right now.
I'm assuming you're talking about the Detroit Tigers. I'm going to say yes. I think they are, Pat. And, you kind of saw it coming at the end of last year, all those young players that, they got off to a miserable start last year, but people kept saying they're young, they got a lot of talent, and that talent started coming through. And then you've got the dominant pitcher who, shut down the Twins yesterday. It was hopeless for us trying to hit. Yeah, he's unbelievable. So they've got the best pitcher in baseball. They've got a great staff, great young players. I think they are. They have the best record right now, right?
Well, they're tied with the Dodgers, and the Dodgers seem to kind of go streaky, and it's almost like the Dodgers are waiting for the season to end so they can get on with the playoffs.
The Dodgers are impressive, Pat, but I think Detroit's lineup from top to bottom is better.
Yeah, it's really good. And again, when you have Scooball, you can come out there and know you're probably going to have a chance to win every fifth game or whatever. I think that's a huge factor. But their other pitchers are pretty good too.
They are. And their bullpen's good.
They kind of came out of nowhere with me because I don't follow baseball as closely. But all of a sudden I'm like, why are the Dodgers Twins on Sunday Night Baseball? And I'm like, oh, they're both really good. So you probably hate it.
It wasn't because of the Twins. It was because of the Tigers.
But you hate the Tigers now because they beat your Twins, right?
Yeah, not too bad. My Uncle Jerome was a big Tigers fan. And, a year ago at his birthday, we went to his 90th birthday. His son had gotten a clip from the Detroit GM talking about my uncle's birthday, talking about how all the young talent they had. So that, I started kind of following them then. And then watched how they in the year last year was impressive. And now look at them.
I thought you were going to say your cousin got the clap. You said clip. He got a clip.
No, he got the interview. The clip. He taped it. It was really good.
Cool. So you're a closet Tigers fan, is what you're saying.
I wouldn't say that, but if it comes down to them and the Dodgers in the World Series, I'd go for Detroit.
What if it was them and the Braves?
I'd go with your team, I think.
I don't think it's going to happen. I wouldn't worry about it. All right, let's go.
No shots, so baseball's over to me.
That's right. That's the thing with the Braves. Braves had it up 2 games on the Mets, and then they lose the last 2. Then now the Phillies lose 2 of the 3. There's no point in watching this baseball this season. All right, number 2 on Yes, No, Where, or Maybe with Robbie Andrew, brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Watching Thomas Bjorn yesterday in the U.S. Open, or Seniors Open, major knees hurt.
It did, Pat. And I'll tell you what, when I turned it on Saturday, I was watching it, and I couldn't believe that was Thomas Bjorn. I mean, the guy, when he played on the regular tour, was one of the fitness guys that was always in great shape. And then to see the keg he has on him now, it hurt to watch him tee the ball up, and he swung the club well and played well, but I can't believe that a guy that was so into fitness is letting his keg get that big in his older age.
All I could think
I guess it happens.
Yeah. Oh, it does happen.
But I noticed that on a couple of the other players in the senior that they've gotten.
Yeah.
It wasn't just him.
Yeah.
But his stuck out more than anybody's, so to speak.
Well, we just saw the guy who won the tournament, the Rocket tournament. What do you call it? Rocket Mortgage tournament. He was pretty heavy. Well,
you know where he's headed. He's only 20, and look what he's got.
I know. He's got some subcutaneous fat, is what Phil Mickelson.
He's got game though too.
He does. He's a really good player. My thing was with Thomas Bjorn, and do we have that where we put up a?
I had it up, yeah.
Okay.
I got it back up now.
Okay. It is. I feel bad, and it's like I talked about with Desmond Watson, I think last week. I worry about Desmond Watson when he doesn't have the structure. And Thomas Bjorn,
when he does,
when you're not walking 4 miles a day, where are you going from there?
Yeah.
All right, number 3, Robbie, on Yes, Nowhere, Maybe. LSU has more, because I can't wait for college football. It's driving me crazy that we still have so much time, 10 weeks or 9 weeks, whatever it is. But LSU has more to lose in that opening game than Clemson does in the battle for Death Valley.
I'm going to put just a maybe on that one, Pat, because I think the expectations of Clemson have risen a lot since the end of last season too. But, the thing with LSU, Pat, they're always hyped all the time.
I know.
And now, they've got Nussmeier, who everybody's saying the Heisman favorite now, and they're loaded with talent everywhere. But to me, they still have some questions on defense. And, the way Florida kicked their butt in the second half last season, gives you hope that LSU isn't going to be that great. But, I think both teams have a little bit to lose in that opener just because, the expectations are really high for both programs now.
Yeah, I talked about this in the first segment, how there are so many X teams, that I just – like LSU is one of them, obviously. FSU is another one. I have no idea. I would not gamble on their record, what it's going to be. It might be really good. It might not be good.
Yeah, it's a typical LSU team, Pat, that's loaded with a bunch of talent, and everybody gets on their bandwagon in the preseason and predicts greatness for them. So
we killed it in the portal. We killed it in the portal like FSU did last year.
Yeah, happens every year with them.
Yep. All right, Robbie, we'll let you go, buddy.
Okay, Pat. Good talking to you. Like your shirt, man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Appreciate Robbie for coming on the podcast. We always love it when Robbie's on. You know that. It's always a good day when you have Coach Spurrier and Robbie Andrew both on your podcast. Let us move along to our Los Linderos smooth move of the weekend. Los Linderos tequila, go beyond. Urban Meyer agrees with me. It is great tequila, I can tell you that, and they do a great job. Car Scott and his friends there. This one's going to have audio or video evidence here, and this was a smooth move of the week. So here we go. How good is that curveball? How smooth is that curveball? And that guy is, and I saw this happen when I was in playing like Little League. I would see guys do that, and they would duck out of the way, and they would swing with one hand sometimes. But this is major leagues. And you think, I just couldn't help but laugh, and that is Mike Soroka, who, of course, was a Brave back in his good old days. Between him and Max Fried, it's just driving me crazy. Anyway, that is our Los Landeros Smooth Move of the Week. Go beyond with Los Landeros Tequila. Let's get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Brought to you, of course, by our good friends at Hesser and Kipke, Ken and Jen. All your family law and workers' comp needs, 352-339-9920 or www.hklawfl.com. That's how you get a hold of them. Number one, Dwayne Lucas. He should be called Dwayne, but it's Dwayne Lucas, who, look, I know the name when he passed away last night or Saturday night in his sleep. Peacefully, they say. And I know what peacefully is. I saw my dad die peacefully, so I know what peacefully is. But anyway, he is one of the great trainers of all time. It's a big deal up in that part of the country, and, of course, in this part of the country, down in Ocala, which is horse country. 51 Derby starters he had while he was a trainer. So that's pretty impressive number. Certainly won his share. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I think it's important that we don't ignore things that I don't pay that much attention to. But a guy like Dwayne Lucas is a name that pops up to you. So I want to make sure we mention that. Number two on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Big trade just happened this morning. Jalen Ramsey, former Knoll, who made a lot of problems in Miami. They a great player. Athleticism off the charts. Not a guy you necessarily want in your locker room, but Jalen Ramsey got traded to the Steelers, and the Steelers want him in their locker room, and they probably figure they've got the guy that can solve that problem, and Mike Tomlin. And so he got traded for Minkah Fitzpatrick, who was a Dolphin at one point, and now is back with the Dolphins. So I think, again, I don't know where they both are in their physicality in terms of where they are as players now, because I don't really pay that much attention to NFL defensive backs. But I know the names, and I know, Minkah was at Alabama, was really good there. I liked him there. I liked him with the Steelers, actually. So maybe it's a good move for the Dolphins. We'll see how that works out. But it's certainly an important move. And maybe it makes the locker room better. That's the thing, man. The old days of like the Yankees when everybody wanted to kill each other and they still won, and the Raiders when everybody wanted to kill each other and they still won. I mean, those days I think are gone. You've got to have a good locker room. And if you don't, you end up with what we've seen at a lot of places. Anyway, number 3 on Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Big question that came up this week, where will the Rays play their playoff games? Because it looks like they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're only a game or a game and a half out of first. They're going to make the playoffs, so where are they going to play? Because Major League Baseball is saying, hey, we ain't going to make any money if you play at a 10,000-seat pretend stadium, which it's a minor league stadium, but it's not a pretend stadium. And so they're going to them and they're saying, we've got to get your playoff games in a bigger stadium. So apparently the two options are Atlanta and Miami. Miami, the Marlins likely won't be in the playoffs. The Braves maybe will be in the playoffs, but if they're not, you could still work around it. But, of course, the Rays are not overly happy about this because they're saying you're taking home field away from us. Well, if you play the Yankees, they've already taken home field away from you because there won't be any Rays fans there. But, I mean, the way Major League Baseball works, I read this story, I didn't realize this, 7,000 people get, like umpires' families, player families, all these people. They usually give out about 7,000 tickets before they start giving season tickets away or selling season tickets or selling to season ticket holders, is what I should say. Well, you're down to 3,000 seats left, and they don't want to do that. We'll see if this does happen. If they end up playing, I would think they'd play in Miami because I don't think they'll make the playoff. But who knows? Maybe they don't want to do that. It is a complex situation. That is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let us move along to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. His name is Aldrich Potgeider. Gallo Car Wash. He was your sponge because he soaked up all the not all the birdies. He soaked up enough birdies. I don't know if you watched it yesterday, and when you saw Aldrich Potgeider at the top of the leaderboard, that may have made you not want to watch it, but it was actually interesting to watch. Kind of a little heavy guy and 20 years old. Had the lead for a long time and then lost it and then came back. They ended up tied 22 under, and then he made a birdie on the 5th playoff hole. So he soaked up a lot of birdies this weekend. 22 under and a birdie to win it. So Aldrich Potgeider is our sponge of the week. I think our Gallo Car Wash sponge of the week. I think you're going to hear a lot about this guy, man. He seems like he's got it together. Or not. You never know. He could end up like Thomas Bjorn. Although Thomas Bjorn was like in the hunt in that tournament. Anyway, this is guy who loses weight, revenge, fat guy's revenge. When I start making fun of fat people because I've lost a little bit of weight. Sorry. I'm sorry, I won't do it again. But Thomas Bjorn is expecting in July. All right, let's move along to our BMI TeleMed Overachiever of the weekend. BMI TeleMed, your weight loss specialist, you know to achieve and maintain. Call them at 727-383-1677. 20 or 10% off if you call and say you listen to this podcast and you want to get involved. I know a lot of people have, so we appreciate them. Our BMI TeleMed Overachiever of the week is Padraig Harrington. Again, we're going back to the senior tournament. Look, I'm sorry, this is all we had this weekend. But it was fun to watch, and I'm telling you, the shot he hit on the last hole, he said that Hale Irwin once gave him the advice, hit the shot like you need a birdie. Instead of hit the shot like play it safe, hit the shot like you need a birdie to win. And he did, knocked it right up there. He missed the birdie putt, but he'd already won. He had already clinched it. But he's an overachiever of the week for this reason. He'd never been to Colorado in his life. He didn't know about he knew that there was going to be altitude change. Let me tell you, I've been there several times. It's a real thing, and it can affect you. And it affected me. I remember the first time I was there, and I went out for a walk, and I went, it can affect you. But it affects the ball in the air more importantly for him. It goes further or it goes short. You have to figure it all out. So he is definitely our overachiever of the week for winning this senior open. And it was fun to watch because there wasn't much else to watch, believe me. All right, let's move along to our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend. And it's Gators of the weekend, and there's 97 of them. That seems like an awful lot. But 97 first-year players, first-year athletes at the University of Florida were named to the SEC honor roll. And that says a lot to me, that Florida is still taking it seriously. Now, I know a lot of these guys and girls, gals, women, whatever, take a lot of classes online, but my daughter did too. So I have no problem with that. But 97 players. In fact, Florida would have broken the record for the most total athletes that they had on the honor roll, but they set it last year, and it was a little short of that. So got to pick it up. But I appreciate things like that because we don't give enough attention to things like that. We tend to only care how many touchdowns did you catch? Oh, you did something for Habitat for Humanity, yeah. You got good grades, yeah. I think Aaron Childs. Antoine Childs used to be a quarterback here and hardly ever played. Aaron Childs was one of those guys who had a first-year thing. I think he had a really good GPA. Anyway, I should have looked it up a little bit better. That is our Adams Ribco Gators of the weekend, and we had I had a good time over there on Friday, seeing Adam. eating those Nana's nuggets, man. They are unbelievable. Talk to some people over there, too. That's a good, cool thing about going to Adams Ribco. You go in there and you run into people, and like I ran into a guy who had something to do with the they've redone the Florida field. They've redone the turf, the grass. So that's cool. All right. Let us get to Steve and Christine Wendig's Gators 101, which we do every Monday. We talk about something that is maybe just make sure everybody knows about it. Looking forward Wednesday to going to lunch with the two of them, too. We're going to talk more about what we want to do with this exactly. But here's what we're doing today, and that is to talk about the 2007 draft class, because we just said that Florida, this is the first time since 2007, and the only time since 2007, Florida's had more than 2 players drafted. Well, that year they had 7 players drafted, but I wanted to run through the players that were drafted ahead of Al Horford, who was the 3rd pick in the draft. Greg Oden, Kevin Durant. One of them panned out, one of them didn't. Greg Oden had all kinds of problems, which a lot of big guys have. That is in a way, I'm trying to think of the right word, the bizarre beauty of Kevin Durant is I don't like him. He's just, I didn't like it when he left Oklahoma City. And he may be one of the greatest players to ever play. I mean, he's not in the Michael LeBron category, but he's really good. And we'll see where it goes this year. But my point is that everybody talks about how Al Horford's an old man, right? Al Horford, God, what does he have, a rocking chair in his locker room? Kevin Durant was in the same draft. So was Greg Oden, but he didn't play very much because of that foot injury he had. That year also, Corey was the 7th pick in the draft. Al was the 3rd. The 9th pick in the draft was Joakim Noah. Would have been the 1st pick the year before, but chose to come back. I talked about that before. In the 2nd round, Chris Richard and Torian Green were both drafted. Nobody wanted any part of Lee Humphrey. Well, I guess, look, the guy was the best three-point shooter in the history of the NCAA tournament. I don't know why somebody wouldn't want him, but, I think he might have let people know. I just kind of want to move on with my life. I don't know. I don't know why nobody wanted to draft him. Anyway, let's move along. And we appreciate Steve and Christine Wendig. Let's move along to our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick pick. Talk about somebody we really enjoy, and that is Kyle Cohen over at Leonardo's at Millhopper. Okay, we're going to give you a women's game, a WNBA game. Sorry, guys, if you don't like the WNBA, you don't have to watch it. You just got to check the score and see if you won. And this will be the last one before we make a pull on Thursday. So we are going to pull a winner for a $25 gift certificate at Leonardo's on Thursday, Tuesday night, Indiana at Minnesota. Got to look it up. See whether Caitlin Clark's playing or not. So that's our WNBA game on Tuesday. You got till Tuesday when it starts to get it in. All you got to do is send it to patrickdooley54@gmail.com. I got to remember to give that out. patrickdooley54@gmail.com. Any comments about my shirt will be accepted too. All right. Let us move to our Hugh Cain Allstate Mayhem Moment. The Gator Nation is in good hands with local Allstate agent Hugh Cain. Stop by Alachua Marketplace Plaza in Alachua and get a free quote today. Striker ball. It's a ball, but it's called a strike. And this guy didn't like it. Whatever he said, he got tossed right away. Tyler Freeman's his name. And, the spike of the gum is like, I guess he didn't want to, have it come out while he's screaming at the guy, and then he shows him where the pitch was. This is classic stuff. By the way, the manager's name is Schaefer, I think. I don't really know anything about the Colorado Rockies, to be honest with you, but he got pretty fired up about that. But that was pretty cool. That was a good Mayhem Moment. Brought to you by Hugh Cain Allstate, and we appreciate them so much. Hugh Cain Allstate's he's about to sell it. I think we have one more we're going to do, and that'll be it for them. But, man, we have loved doing it. And if somebody else wants to get in on something like that, where we do pick out a kind of wild and crazy clip, we're open for it. Just give me a call. You know how to get a hold of me. Or you can just email me at patrickdooley54@gmail.com. Finally, let's get to our swamp games of the week. Tuesday, you have Cleveland at the Chicago Cubs. The Guardians at the Cubs, TBS at 8:05. They're also playing Wednesday at 8 o'clock on ESPN. What's going on there with the Cleveland and the Cubs? Is that a big deal? I don't know. It is, but they're both on. If you want to watch Ben Shelton, his first match at Wimbledon is tomorrow. And obviously on ESPN, you can watch Wimbledon all day, all morning. And I will be watching Ben Shelton's match. Unfortunately, they don't give you the times. It says to be determined because I guess they have to wait on rain and everything like that. Also, Tuesday, we mentioned the women's game, Indiana at Minnesota in the WNBA, 8 o'clock. It's only on Prime Video. But I don't think anybody was going to watch it anyway just to see how their pick did. But you might if you have Prime Video. And also, what people go to the Swamp for now, I found out, to watch, because we don't have a lot of sports going on, is Love Island. And my daughter went there last night to watch it. So Love Island is considered a sport now, I guess. Well, there's a lot of sweating going on, I think, about that. But that's about all I can say. All right, that's going to do it for another show. Appreciate Zach for doing a great job as always. Coach Spurrier, Robbie, we had a good show. We had a lot of fun today. Again, we're at a time when there's not much going on, but we're going to find ways to make it interesting. I promise you. Christy Dosh is going to join us to talk about NIL on Thursday, and then we'll be back Monday with Coach Spurrier. Until then, I am Pat Dooley, and I am deep. I am way back, and I am out of here.